Hey, what's good, folks? You know what time it is. It is Saturday. It is, well, later than we usually start. It is, of course, earlier than we start when we mess up. So we'll call it halfway. But it is your third week of August. We are the host, the co host, and soon the producer. You know, she's always doing something. Uh, this is the Wrath of Ruthless. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder. I, of course, have along with me the wonderful, the talented, the hilarious Miss Brittany. How are you doing this afternoon? And of course, she's muted because, stuff. There she is.
Okay. Hi. I was very, I'm glad it was muted because I wasn't happy with the way I said hi. It was very like I was on The View or something. It's like hi. So I'm glad you didn't get to hear that. Yeah, but yeah, I'm good. It's a good Saturday. I mean, it's a good afternoon. I'm happy. I'm at peace with everything at this moment.
Great. So, we, of course, are happy to give you our usual show. Of course, before we get to that, we do want to pub some stuff for you. As you can see, all shirts on TeePublic are currently on sale for $14. That includes our sale, which is still going to the end of the month. You can get any of our 314 Words Don't Do It Justice or the new Weekends Don't Do It Justice shirt logos for shirts, t-shirts, tank tops, kid shirts, hoodies, long sleeve shirts, notebooks, coffee mugs, travel mugs. You can even get these shirts, these logos on a really, really nice, really cool phone case because you want to support us everywhere. You want to protect your laptop. Boom, we got that too. As you can see right here, Weekend Life, all that good stuff, all that Weekend Life stuff for your needs. And of course, Words Into a Justice logo. Support the shows, support the people who are on the shows, and get all that cool stuff. Again, remember, coolest thing out here, you got the regular mug, and then we go big with the travel mug. I'm telling you folks, get this travel mug right now. It's on sale. Grab that. And of course, we would not, of course, want to skip over our fellas over at weekendlife.com. Just press play, where you can find all that gaming, movie, TV, and music-related stuff. You, of course, got all those guys streaming, Revanchist, Van Davius, and, of course, STL Solo, who was on with us a couple weeks ago. Guys, hop on, check out their stuff, see when they're live streaming, check out their stuff when it's on YouTube. Become a subscriber to their channels. We all work to give you great content. Don't forget to share our content with your friends. Now, we are going to take just a brief pause for the, quote unquote cause here. And we're going to head into the uh, ads. And I hate this stuff. I'm sorry, folks. We have to do this. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. I don't like it, but it is what it is. So we're going to toss in just a real quick ad right now. But of course, we'll be back in just a second. It's going to be like real fast. Just boom, just like a real quick one. And of course, if you're live streaming this, you're not seeing the ad. You're just seeing us talking. So here we go. And we're back. Welcome back to the Wrath of Ruthless. Like I said, sorry for the ad break, but glad you guys got it. Now let's what do you say? Let's get into this subject today. Now, Brittany, I know I didn't prep you ahead of time for this, and that's for real good reason. I told you there'd be a good topic today. I told you you'd like the topic today, but I didn't tell you what the topic today was. And I keep delaying talking about what the topic today is, and that's because today's topic is anticipation.
What is it?
That'd be anticipation. Patient.
Okay.
One of the things about
I don't know what you're doing there, but that's
instant
crazy. Are you saying are you saying anticipation?
Of course, I'm saying anticipation.
Well, I'm very impatient, and that lost me. I'm sure somebody listening was like, "What is happening?" I wanted to bang on my laptop, like he's just trying to speak to me. He's trying to speak to me. Let him do it.
I'm sure they are. However, those people are the lame people who have never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show and make me angry as a cause of it. You know, Rocky Horror Picture Show, of course, is famous for this scene. We're gonna toss it in here real quick because folks know it very well. Let's present that to everyone so everybody can see. It's a classic. It's a cinema classic.
I see you shiver with anticipation.
A classic. A classic. Now, listen. I like the hype to build certain things up because it means more people get access, want access to it. Shouldn't say get, want access to it. I like that. However, I do feel like we've gotten to a point where everyone uses anticipation as a weapon against, you know, here's what I mean. We're gonna start. I'm gonna go right in your wheelhouse, Brittany. We're gonna start right here with an easy one.
Okay.
Frank Ocean.
Okay. Now, I have to warn you with that. I don't know a whole lot about him. I mean, okay, I've heard a couple of songs and, I see him all the time on the internet, but I haven't, I don't have a really extensive base of knowledge as far as, his music or anything like that. So this anticipation for his album, I got to warn you, it did not affect me.
Well, it didn't affect you, but you can understand the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah.
At this point, not only did he just straight out lie multiple times about when this album was coming out, but it legitimately changed entirely when he finally dropped some new music. I mean, it's been 4 years at this point. Now, we're not going to obviously pull up his information because Lord knows I don't need more copyright strikes than I already have. What I wanted to talk about was this notion of expecting artists to, because I'm not talking about him specifically. I just want to open with that. We said Frank Ocean, and immediately everybody went, I know exactly what he's talking about. Talk about is this notion that artists need to have some project out at least every year, if not twice a year, a major album and a mixtape of some kind. And I wanted to talk to you about it because it to me, it feels like that is something all artists are doing, but it's also something that is detrimental to creativity. They aren't having time to let an idea gestate and grow into something. It's just boom, there, instant, and keep moving. But I want to, of course, get your thoughts first before we get into my next point about it. Go for it.
As far as artists always having to have something out, do I think that exists as far as, expectations from the public and even their fans? Absolutely, because we live in an information age where things are constantly changing. For one thing, the way we're introduced to artists, it's a lot faster than it probably was in the late 90s, early 2000s. And that's because people now have decided, I'm going to bypass all this stuff with the record labels and all of this, and I'm just going to upload my own stuff to the internet. So you have literally a new artist probably every day. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And you'll probably know what I'm talking about with this, comedy especially is like that. I think a lot of comedians feel the need to stay relevant right now by doing something all the time, because if you take a break, you've got this new kid on Facebook who's coming out, with a bunch of videos that, he may not be a stand-up comedian. He may not, be anything like that. He just is doing a bunch of funny videos, and people have this expectation that you should be being funny as often as he is, even though that's not really your lane. But everybody's got ADD when it comes to things that they want to see now. And,
well, and certainly because that definitely happened with Kane Carter, Hot Day My Rock, and obviously with Andrew Batch and what's his name, and Spoken Reasons. Like they never build themselves as comedians until they were much farther along, and people were basically pushing them to be that. They were just guys with funny videos. Now I don't know what happened to Kane Carter because Kane was really fucking funny, and he just disappeared entirely. But Batch clearly has made his break into proper Hollywood. Same with Spoken Reasons. So
yeah, but like I was talking to one of my friends, and we were talking about comedy and stuff, and like he starts going off and telling me like what I need to do based on what Batch is doing, and I'm like, we're you know what I mean, like
you are
first
not
of
the
all,
same at all.
exactly, like first of all, and I'm like, but I honestly, what's funny about that is I'm like, this guy really thinks he understands comedy. Like he really thinks like what he's saying, he really thinks that that's how you become a comedian. Like, so somewhere things get lost in translation because of all of these high expectations that people have. And I say that, and I bring that up just to mean like artists out here, take it a comedy and stuff aside, but you've got like an artist as just a singer. A singer now is going to feel the need to compete with a lot of people who are just doing basic covers on YouTube sometimes because, hey, you've got people who have legitimately made careers or have gotten limelight over just putting something online and having a cover, and I think like it's really important to highlight that the only musician I've seen, or I can remember right now, I can't say the only one, the only musician that I can say I can remember right now has always done something probably every year and a half consistently is Rihanna. Rihanna is like one of those artists that she for one point in time, Rihanna had 5 albums in 5 years. And I was like, whoa, like, she's all, that takes a lot of work because Rihanna was touring and during that time too. So she was like making stuff in the studio. She probably was leaving shows, going into the studio, doing it all again. Like, it takes a lot. So basically I think that as far as anticipation and all that, that's healthy. It does make artists feel like, okay, my fans, it makes you feel good because you feel like your fan, I'm assuming, like if you're a musician, you're like, okay, my fans really want to hear a lot from me. But I can't help but wonder if it stifles the creative process a bit. Like with the Frank Ocean thing, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I've seen articles, and I'm only just guessing. If I were Frank Ocean, I would feel some type of pressure that I had to always release something, even if it weren't my best work, because people were demanding to hear from me. And the funny thing about that I always think is interesting is like, everybody wants this album. Everybody wants this album. I'm like, okay, if you keep rushing it and the album isn't good, you're going to talk about then how the album isn't good. Like, so I guess it's like, when does it taint the product? And when is it unhealthy for people to have this, undying need for art constantly and constantly? I mean, I remember growing up, I'm not going to tell my age. I'm not too old, but I'm not in the Miley Cyrus generation either. So I'm not going to tell my age right now. Mm-hmm. But like, I definitely remember, growing up in a time where you had to go to Sam Goody to get a CD. Okay. And then I remember that wasn't every year, that was like, oh my God. And I generally, I can sit here right now and just say, like in 1999, when Lauryn Hill's album first came out, I can remember up until about 2006, no one having a problem or a question about when she was going to make another album, because we just thought that was the process. Can you imagine now, like your favorite artist not making an album for 6 years, or 7 years, like it would be insane. People would be rioting. Like, do you love us anymore? That's how people come to, like, we're coming to Frank Ocean.
People would ask if the artist quit making music.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah, and so I mean, that was what was funny to me about the anticipation part of it, I guess, with Frank Ocean, was like, people had this aspect of like, do you care about us? My God, give us something. And I was kind of like, that's cool that you care this much and that, you like his stuff, but I don't know if I would like that constant pressure all the time. Like, I really don't know. Like, I don't have any singing talent like that. So, and I don't rap or anything, but I'm just saying, like, I really don't know if I could handle that pressure of always having.
You do know the next set of lyrics followed by I no killer, but don't push me.
Of course.
Funny how that works. I'm sorry, folks. I'm really still mad about this shit. I talked to Brittany about this last night. Was that last night we talked about this?
Yeah.
I feel like that was last night. Yeah, we talked about this last night, and I was at and shout out to the Midnight Chat Attack. You know, we had Ganja and Anton during the wonderful trip to Austin for the second year Double Tussle anniversary party. But I was in Austin. I will not say the woman's name. It was very clear she is older than I am, and I was making a joke about what was happening. And I of course dropped the infamous Tupac line, "I know killer, but don't push me." And this woman looked at me like I had just said I'm an alien from planet Klendathu, and just had no idea what came next after that. Like anybody else, when you say that line to them, either says the next line or is like, "Ah, funny story." Like they know where it's coming from. This woman had no idea, none, people, none whatsoever. I'm not gonna say her name because I don't want you guys openly, hating this one. But I was just mad, just internally upset by the situation, as it were. And of course, when I told Brittany, she was just like, "How do they not know?"
No, I didn't believe it. I still don't. I still don't believe that happened, because I think that what happened is this lady you threw something in front of her like you did with me just now with Klendathu, and she was just like, okay, just smile and nod because I don't know what the hell is happening. That's the look I had. Like, I don't know.
Alien planet name to say that I was an alien from. There's no other point beyond that.
Okay, see, people, this is why Matt, and my jokes fail on. I don't know if he does this on purpose, but I'm going to find out, and I'm going to handle this situation. Anybody out there was probably laughing when I said that. I bet you like 70% of people were laughing when I said that. Matt felt the need to stop and explain to me. I'm like, did I just like...
ruining your jokes live on air is definitely funny.
You think I have ridiculous like inability to know what's coming out of my mouth? Like, I mean, I'm like, does he not get that I said this? Like, these words are mine. I own them. Like, of course, I didn't need you to define Klendathu. The problem is I didn't think it was important to define Klendathu. That is the joke. That is in itself the joke. Like, just smile and nod because this just got weird because I don't know what he's talking about. But you felt the need to explain that. Like, that is so freaking strange to me. Like, you do this to me on purpose. And I'm just kind of like, look.
I do this to you on purpose. Yes, I absolutely do this on purpose. Do these people not good people of the internet? Are you aware of what I'm doing? Yes. Okay, I thought so.
I don't know if they know. They probably just going to say this because they don't want you to do it to them. This joke bullying is very, very, very like a problem out here. This is like crazy.
I am a joke bullier, and this is amazing.
Yes, my puns and I are offended at everything that's happening to us right now. So
which is funny considering I'm such a big fan of Martin Thomas from Double Toasted, and Lord knows he says a pun every chance he gets. But I just want to.
But I don't think that this lady. I really, in all honesty, what you were saying, like I really do not think that this person, this lady, this man, whatever you said, this lady, yeah, okay. I really don't think that that was the truth. I feel like that was one of those moments where you have a brain fart. That's what I really feel like it was. Like maybe she just didn't get it at that moment because she was so into the conversation. So I don't believe that she doesn't know that. I think it's because at the point, I'll reveal my age a little bit again. When Tupac was like at his height, I was like in 4th grade. Okay. So I knew very minimal things, like if they weren't on BET or if I didn't get something from MTV, like I had to sneak around to get my hip hop is what I'm saying, because my mom was very much like, I'm not letting you listen to gangster rap, like are you serious? So I had to sneak and get this stuff, but I still got it. So I find it very hard to believe that if you are a person who was probably in high school, you didn't know these things, because I knew and I wasn't supposed to know, and it took a lot of sneaking on my part to know. So that's why I just don't believe it. I think it was a brain fart situation.
Yeah, because I'm just mad about now. Again, this is the theme of anticipation. That's what our theme is for today's show. That's why I bring all this stuff up. Now I'm going to test something right now. This is what really puts it in perspective. All right, real easy, real easy. Straight up, honey, really, I'm asking. Most of these niggas that they be macking, but they be acting. Who they attracting with that line? Brittany?
Are you serious right now?
And she's not. I feel so bad right now.
Are you serious right now?
You have failed this city.
Like, no, I love hip hop, but like, Matt, you have to understand. I told you last night. I was like, let me be real, people of the podcast who are listening. At this point in time, I think Tupac is a creative genius. When I hear his songs, I know them, obviously. If you were to play a song for me,
That was a Biggie lyric, and how dare you?
I know that was a Biggie lyric. Matt, let me finish. You got the people now thinking I'm confusing Biggie and Tupac. Do I need to leave? Do I need to leave? Do I need to give you time to compose yourself, sir? Because you've forgotten that we are friends. Like, you've forgotten. Like, I don't know what happened. No, but I know that's a Biggie lyric. This is the thing. I know these songs when you play them for me, and I obviously, like, if a song were to come on, I'd be like, oh yeah, that's Biggie. Oh yeah, that's Pop. But here's the thing. When it comes to the things that are ahead of my time that I know that are ingrained in me a little bit, you have a better chance getting NWA or Wu-Tang out of me before that, because these are the things that my cousins listen to obsessively. These are the things that they like, and that was really kind of interesting because you've got kids from the South that love Wu-Tang. Like, if you play Wu-Tang, I was listening to Wu-Tang before we started. You heard it, Matt. I love Wu-Tang. So those are the things that I know, because at the time I was like 8 or 9 years old. Like, you can't, I never said like I'm a hip hop fan. I never said I was a complete hip hop head to where you could just drop this on me and I'm going to give it back. Like, I can't do that. I'm not there yet. But the iconic stuff, like if you're going to rap a part of Juicy, I know what's coming. Like if you're going to play Changes and expect me to know at least like 4 or 5 lines, I can do that. Like little things like that. I'm just saying. But you can't have these same expectations of me that you had of this lady, because it's like, I'm like, okay, we've got a good 7-year learning curve. She was ahead of me by 7 years. Okay. She should definitely have finished those lyrics for Biggie.
In a heartbeat. With no problem.
I can't.
Exactly.
I can't. I will make myself look crazy. Do I know it's Biggie? Yes. If you give me another line right now, like, I mean, they're stylistically, they're just different in general. I think most people, even if you didn't know, you could guess, because what you just read, Tupac has been famous because he didn't write like that. Tupac had rhymes within his rhymes, and he had a very much like emblematic poetic style.
What the thing is, if I said it was all a dream, I used to read Word Up magazine.
Yeah, Salt and Pepper, Heavy D, and Limousine. Yeah.
See, she's redeemed herself.
See, I mean, I told you, I was just, Matt, I had to just give my caveat. I had to give my caveat to the people.
Totally fair.
It's a thing like that too. And I think like that, the Biggie appreciation that I have, and I think the Tupac appreciation that I do have, it was acquired after the fact. But the things that were ingrained into me around those times, very much like Wu-Tang, NWA, let me see, who else? I mean, I told you like I was a huge TLC fan, but like that doesn't count. They were like hip hop R&B, like so.
I'm not gonna do crazy stuff like make you finish up lyrics to UGK songs, because
no.
Shout out to all the Houston
and
family friends who are of course down with the show. We down there soon. I won't tell you when yet.
But and Outkast, very much Outkast. Like I know a lot of Outkasts over there. That just comes from being Southern, like obviously I'm going to know more of that stuff. So those are the things that are very formative to who I am. I'm not at the hip hop level head yet that, like hip hop head level that, you expected me to be and that lady to be. Like I'm not there yet, but give it time, people. Maybe one day I'll be able to be like, oh my God. Not about these. I'm not going to go back and study for Matt and his quizzes, because Matt doesn't study for my jokes, as you all can see. He doesn't study how to let a joke just fly. So I'm not going to do that. But I'm saying, give somebody time. There's a learning curve to some of these things. Sometimes people don't realize how awesome things are until like they get older. Honestly, I don't think a 9-year-old can appreciate. And that's another thing. Do you think a 9-year-old or people that, are around that, kids that are around that age can really truly appreciate music? Like if I had heard Lauryn Hill's album, I went back to that again, because that's like one of my favorite albums of all time. If I had heard her album when I was 9 years old, I wouldn't have been able to appreciate it. I mean, do you think do you think that that's true?
That's fair.
So some things you can't really appreciate at a certain age. But yeah, if you're in high school and, you were around in high school age around like the time of Biggie and Pac, like, I think you need to know some things just based on being alive during the time.
And folks, let's be real here. I was 14 in 1996. I was 14. My entire experience with rap music was the same sneak around, listen to setup. We've had this discussion before on Words Don't Do It Justice way back when, that the first album I was ever actually able to hear from Tupac was Me Against the World. And I wasn't able to buy that album until many years later. My mom finally let me buy whatever I wanted to. Now, of course, Me Against the World is also important to me, and of course, Words Don't Do It Justice, as it came out on March 14th, 1995. 2014, ruling the world, I'm telling you.
Can I just say one thing?
What up?
Because we're talking about hip hop. Okay. Anybody out there listening, if you want to read a book, like one of the people that I admire so much, one of the people that I admire so much, and I mean, I don't know what the odds are that she would be listening, but I'm just going to say, like, I don't know what the odds are that she would be listening, or that this will one day fall in her lap. I don't know if Google has invented some kind of like name sound search, name soundbite search, whatever, but I love Angie Martinez to death. Angie Martinez is like one of my, I would go so far to say career role models. I think that what she has done with her career is very important for women, and also very important just in general. You know, when she started out in the radio game, it was pretty much a boys club in a lot of ways. You know, like I think no one can disagree with that, especially, and hip hop was very new. Like she chronicles it in her book. Well, she has a book right now. It's her autobiography, her memoir, and it's called My Voice. Read it if you like hip hop. I read the book because, yeah, I like hip hop, but I also have loved her career for a long time. I remember, like, you know, first going to New York when I was younger, and it's crazy. Like, I remember first going to New York when I was younger and hearing her, like, on the radio, and there was just something that was different and special about her, really her voice. And I was like, this is just really a person that captivated me. I couldn't explain it. I can't really explain it now. But after that, I became like a serious fan, and I was like, this lady is like, she is on point. Just listen to her talk. She knew her stuff. She held her own. You're attracted to people and their confidence and their auras and, you know, things like that. So that's what I believe, at least. So I definitely was just a fan at that moment of just hearing her. Didn't know a whole lot about her. What now, like after researching her, like when I probably was around, I don't know, maybe like around 13, 14. It's funny when you said 13 or 14, like when I started really being like, yeah, I'm going to research her and like figure out what makes New York hip hop different from Southern hip hop. Like, what are the differences? Like I started getting that inquisitive, you know, kind of thing to it. And she was very integral to the culture, like New York hip hop culture and just hip hop culture in general. So read her book. Yeah. But basically one of the things in her book that I want to say about anticipation and all that, when I read how she talks about being there for some of these moments, like with Tupac, and being there for some of these moments with Biggie, all of everything she had to say just makes me feel like she was really, you can't separate what happened with hip hop to what happened with pop culture around the time of like around the time of Pac and Biggie. You can't separate the two. You know what I mean? Like when she's going through this book and she's writing about the time periods, everything she's saying about hip hop is very integral to the time period at that time. Like it's crazy. It's the way she writes or something. I'm like, dang, you truly witness history, not just hip hop history. You truly witness history. Because I'm of the firm belief, I don't know what you think about this, but I think the end of the Biggie Pac era was when hip hop actually had a fundamental change. I think that after that happened, as far as I'm remembering, you know, if I'm remembering correctly, I remember No Limit, for instance, not even being on anybody's radar until after that.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly say that that's really the case kind of everywhere, because it's the point where I struggle to call it a power vacuum. No, I'll go ahead and I'll call it that. The real issue is at that point, that's where you get the true, power vacuum that occurs in hip hop that's really never properly been filled. And that's why we have this sort of, slow, I won't say slow. Like, that's why we have this sort of weird struggle every few years for who's the new face, true new face of hip hop.
Yeah.
Certainly a lot of people wouldn't have careers if that didn't happen. Fuck you, Ja Rule.
Well, we're just saying the end of the era, but like the anticipation moment of it, called all like she was talking about the tension. She was like, there was something crazy. She was like, at that
you
point
think
in
about
time,
it. It's one of those situations
everybody
where you don't know who's going to like you don't really realize that this is getting this serious.
Exactly. She was
It's
like,
the
it's
first time
very,
hip hop gets that serious.
yeah, she just definitely goes like, okay, this was a very tense time, and it felt tense. It felt like there was just something in the air, something that was going to go down, and fans were like, but still fans were so like connected to the culture. It was so crazy when she was chronicling this time where apparently some point in time Biggie and not Biggie, oh my gosh, at some point in time Nas and Pac had beef. Okay, and so she's chronicling, I think it was at the MTV Video Music Awards, where they were like an after party where they were in the same room and they talked it out though, but people were nervous about them talking it out. And I'm like, these are things that today fans, can you imagine like the anticipation of it all? It's like fans could not relax knowing something had like that had gone on. We today in this generation would have been like, oh my God, why didn't anybody tweet about this? Like we wouldn't let, just having an account after the fact would not be enough now. So that's why I was like, wow, like it's crazy for me to read her book, because all of these things that she's talking about are things that like I live in such a digital, give it to me now, tell me things as they are happening age, that it's crazy to me that people live, not crazy like, awful, but it's like I can't fathom it right now because I'm so far removed from an age where people didn't know these things were happening. It was all about the music. It was all about what you got from a source that came probably a lot later than the event that is at issue. So I don't really know I don't know how to connect with this generation, the after me, about anticipation. I find it very hard because a lot of things don't even happen the way I remember them happening. I don't ever remember there being a time where I had to worry about my favorite artist dropping, a mixtape at like midnight, or a whole album on like a digital, download site or something like that. I don't remember that time happening. I remember what was a big thing for me growing up was like when Napster first came out. I remember Napster, for whatever reason, threw people for a loop completely. Like I know the reason, but I mean, I just remember people freaking out about Napster. I even remember the guy who created it being all over MTV. I remember him like having legal struggles that were highlighted all the time. Napster shook up the world. I remember that, but I can't connect when it comes to like this music. I'm used to waiting. I don't mind it.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, again, if there's always something, one day somebody's going to read a book about how we were always waiting, and maybe it'll seem like, are you serious right now? You're so lame. You had to wait like a 24-hour period. We just now like log in and we hear artists recording the albums. We're like in the studio with them virtually. Like it's just, like it's funny how things progress.
I was listening to Kay Ashton Sinclair's newest CD as she was thinking of what songs would be on it.
Yeah,
it was amazing. Her thoughts on like the ideas for the song titles, and as she was humming along the melody in her head, it was great. Like what?
You're actually going to live in a time
That's
probably
next. It's coming.
where like the generation below us is probably going to say, or the generation after the one that's behind us will probably say, oh my God, nobody has conceptual ideas like this person. Like they're going to be talking about the concepts of someone's music rather than the actual music. We talk about the finished product a lot. We talk about how people talk about their process in interviews. People are going to start talking about concepts because people are going to be recording live. Musicians have virtually no privacy at this point. Like everybody's involved in their process. And that's why I kind of think like, I don't know. I would like a healthy distance to be maintained, but do I think that exists anymore? No, because a lot of what happened with Frank Ocean, I feel like he fed into it. I wouldn't have fed into it. I can't tell him how to live. I can't tell him how to make music, but I wouldn't have fed into
when
it.
he was going to drop the album. Like if he didn't say anything, if he was like, "Yo, it's not ready yet. Like I'm doing some stuff to it. Like we're gonna get there. Like keep listening to my music and maybe drop some tracks that he knows he doesn't want. Like this is some stuff that I didn't want on there because I want to give you guys the best quality possible. Like even if he did that, fine, let's go."
I think he was probably doing that to see where people's head, where their heads were. Because like, if he said something like that, he could probably gauge by people if they were like, okay, that's fine, or hurry up, as opposed to forget it. We don't want this album. Keep it. We're not even
Yeah.
fans anymore. You know, I think
Except
he probably wanted to
everybody wanted him.
everybody still wanted exactly. So he just kept doing it and doing it just to make sure that people were like, "Oh my God, I'm really revealing my age." Because when I said doing it and doing it, I thought about LL Cool J.
Yeah,
Wow.
so did I. Don't worry.
Exactly. I'm really
We both did.
exactly. I represent Queens. She was raised out in Brooklyn. See?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So like, here's the whole thing. Like, it's funny because I just really feel like he tried to please his fans a lot, but I don't really think anybody should be that involved in your process. If he says he's going to drop the album soon, first of all, I don't even like this dropping album stuff. Like when you tell people when you're going to drop the album, don't do it. I would just prefer people went about the Beyonce method. And if you're going to drop something, just drop it. Don't even talk about it. Just drop it and then let us freak out. That's the genius about what Beyonce did with like Lemonade.
No,
And
I got to stop you there and entirely disagree.
No.
Everybody
Let me
can't. No,
finish.
everybody
Let
can't
me
do the
finish.
Beyonce drop.
No, I know, but let me just be real. When you first gauge that when people want something this bad, okay, like if I were in Frank Ocean's position, again, people listening, I am not telling him how to live. So don't write Matt anything. Don't write Matt anything crazy, because I'm saying don't write Matt because I don't read what you write. I'm just gonna be real. Matt might tell me and be like, you know, Brittany, somebody said this. I'll be like, okay, that's cool. You know, so don't do that. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over this.
She does not give a fuck about your thoughts.
I'm not gonna. I wouldn't go that far, Matt. Like, let's be real. Like, I'm not a heartless person. Like, let's be real. I'm not a heartless person. But
She's
you know, I don't.
I
yeah,
really
I'm
don't
not,
give a fuck about your thoughts.
yeah, that's kind of true. But I'm not going to lose any sleep over you disagreeing with me. But I also don't want to feel like I'm disrespecting somebody for having a different opinion than me. That's where I'm coming from. But like with Frank Ocean, if I were in his position, once I would have, you know, figured out that my fans were still rocking with me, they still wanted this music that I had coming, I wouldn't have said anything else about it. I would have just dropped it and then said, go buy it. You know, Beyonce just dropped it and she didn't have to say a thing because people were like, oh my God, we found it. Something's popping up when we're Googling Beyonce 24/7. The new album popped up, because that's how people find out. Because there are people online that are serious Beyonce stans and they are just Googling her all the time and just obsessively looking for things with her. That's why everybody can't do that drop. I get that. But he should have just dropped it, because at that point, you can't please anybody once they aren't getting things when they think they should get them. You know, it's like now I think people have calmed down with the hype of it. They're like, okay, the album is out here. We can relax. We can calm down. I think it would have been a lot less stressful for Frank Ocean if he would have just said, look, I'm not talking anymore. I see where they're going. I see they're still rocking with me. A month from now, 2 months from now, when they get it, they'll get it. I'm not going to keep, you know, setting dates or doing this and doing that. You know, I'm just going to let the music speak for itself.
That brings us, of course, to the dark side of hype. Now, I did say, like, everybody can't do this Beyonce move. And the reason why Frank Ocean could not do that is precisely the downside of hype. The dark side of anticipation, if you will. And it's this idea that, you know, as an artist, sometimes you need to build hype to build an audience. Or you need to build hype to rebuild an audience. Now, the reason why I disagree with the Frank Ocean just dropping it approach is that he spent so much time telling people release dates and then having nothing. So there was a lack of trust coming because of that. And I feel like he needed a date because of it. One of my favorite artists usually announces when he's putting out new material, or, you know, fairly in advance. And you kind of expect it at certain points. And, you know, for me at least, I appreciate that, because it's like, all right, I know I'm going to get this then. So I'm not going to worry about it. When it gets closer, I'm going to start getting real hype and get people to, you know, go out and get it, because I want them to experience too, but we're not going to get there. And I want to talk about the downside of hype in a very interesting fashion. And of course, that's with films. See, what happens with hype and anticipation, and I will say I'm using those interchangeably for this show because they are essentially the same thing. We are all about the anticipation. And we are all about hype culture. That's why why hype beasts exist for shoes. Like, it's ridiculous. Anyway, but the entire idea of the dark side of it is what happens when you really get it. You know, what happens when it was all hype? And that brings, of course, us to movies. this summer, to my mind, has for at least the last 10 years, so 2006, has been one of the worst summers for actual film quality uh, in quite a long time. Like, I would say probably if it's not the worst summer for that, for extremely hyped things turning out to be absolute shite, it's definitely like top three. Um, and it's because all of the major tentpoles really, really save Finding Dory. All the summer films that you were like, yeah, I can't wait to see this. All those movies really fell on their faces. And I'm not talking necessarily about money because, I mean, hell, some of these really bad movies still made good money. But I'm talking about, you know, uh, the films that people really, really wanted to see. Um, and I'm gonna pull up my favorite website for this. You guys can't see it just yet because we've got, of course, the logo showing up. But Box Office Mojo,
Uh-huh.
who I wish we had a sponsorship deal with, so I could really get into this craziness. But let's get this seasonal. Now, Box Office Mojo for 2016 has the number one movie for the summer, Finding Dory.
Uh-huh.
Finding Dory has at this point had 122 days in its summer season. Um, its budget, as far as we know, was around the 150 billion range
Oh.
at most. Like, we don't know for certain what the production budget was. We know that at most it was that. Um, it had a domestic gross of $477 million, a foreign gross of $430 million, for a total of $907 million. Like, nearly a $1 billion movie, and it was only out for 64 days. That's the only time it's been in theaters. So 9.1 weeks. Damn, I saw it say 9.1, and I definitely was about to say 9.5 weeks. I am way too old for this shit. But yeah. So Finding Dory killed it, right?
Mhm.
The other one that's out there that was really big this summer, another uh, animated picture for a far smaller budget, $75 million. Um, Came out in July 8th. Currently has a worldwide gross of just under $600 million, and that's The Secret Life of Pets.
I knew you were going to say that movie.
And those are the major releases from this summer.
Hmm.
And that's now, you also have your Captain America Civil War, which definitely stood up and did exactly what we wanted to do. I struggle to fully count that. I mean, it is the beginning of May with that movie, but it's kind of the opening to the summer season. It made 1.1 billion with an opening weekend of just under 180 million on a production budget of 250 million. It was probably the most anticipated. Yeah, I'm going to call it the most anticipated of the summer, just because Marvel movies tend to do that. But then you start getting into ones that are not the most anticipated, but are still heavily anticipated. And we're just going to go straight for it. Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Ghostbusters 2016. And its production budget was $144 million. All right.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Okay.
Kristen Wiig, who is a guaranteed moneymaker. You have Melissa McCarthy, who, even in her worst movies, and she had a bad one come out not so long ago, like literally like a few months before Ghostbusters. That was really clearly one of her sketch comedy ideas that her husband and her turned into a movie.
Oh my God! Wait, what was the name of that movie?
I've forgotten the name of the movie.
Yeah, me too. And that's probably a bad sign.
It's a bad sign at that point, but it's The Boss. That's what it was. The
Oh,
Boss.
okay.
The Boss still made money. It came out in April. That's what it was. And it made three times its production budget worldwide. But even with that bad of a movie, she still had a massive gross out of that. And of course, Spy that came out last year was another big film for her, even though she didn't spend that much money on it.
Okay.
But Ghostbusters itself had a worldwide gross of $194 million. So it made its production budget back, but it didn't make that much money. And it took that worldwide gross to get to that point because domestically, it didn't make the production budget domestically. It only made 123 million. A lot of people, initially were saying that this was, a backlash against having female comedians be the four lead characters. That it was sexism that was causing this movie to fail. But this is a PG-13 movie put out by Sony that really was, to my mind, and I have since seen it, to my mind, was really aimed more at let's make this approachable comedy, but that young girls can still see, so that we can have everybody, come out and see this movie. They had the cameos from, I think all of the original Ghostbusters. Remember, right? Yeah, because Winston Zedmore shows up at the end. You had Sigourney Weaver showed up as well in the film. She had a quick cameo. Everybody was in there, and Sony really put a lot of things behind it. And it was anticipated in a different fashion. It was critically anticipated because it was the film that says we can make major money with a major female cast of comedians because we've reached a point in society where this should just make money. A lot of their backlash to this film, and this is why we're bringing up Ghostbusters, a lot of the backlash to the film was, we don't like that you're remaking Ghostbusters. If you made a different movie, we would probably go see it. And I think the interesting lesson to take away from like I said, this is the dark side of hype here, is that when you don't have a great film on your hands, and I will say my problem with Ghostbusters is not the four women. It's actually, I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't the first two Ghostbusters movies for me. It would easily be third behind them, and probably fourth behind the Ghostbusters 3 concept. But it was still a decent movie. I don't have any problems with it. Like they don't really establish rules the way the original Ghostbusters movie established rules. So when they did things that weren't within what I know to be Ghostbusters lore, I didn't get mad about it because they didn't start off the movie saying, "Yo, these are the rules."
All right.
And so it just wasn't compelling. It was all right. That was all right. Like if this came on TV, I might watch it again. If this is on Netflix, I'm not gonna hunt it out. I'm not be like, "Yo, Brittany, let's get a rab.it up and let's watch some Ghostbusters because I want to see those ladies be funny again." It was all right. This is cool. Like if I'm up late doing stuff and it's on TV, I'm probably not gonna turn it off. And that's kind of where we find ourselves when the film doesn't meet up the expectations. It falls extremely flat. And this summer has been film after film of that. Oddly big movie, and this is stupid that this is in the top 15. This is a top 15 movie, okay? Top 15. It internationally total, the whole worldwide total, made $346 million. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Production budget, $73 million. Not really a ton of big names in it. It's names like Keegan-Michael Key, Kate McKinnon, Sean Penn, Peter Dinklage, Maya Rudolph, Bill Hader, Danny McBride, Josh Gad, and Jason Sudeikis. These are all names but these are not huge movie stars voicing this movie. The Angry Birds movie. And that's the other side of things. The Angry Birds movie was one of those movies that, that's
So
what you
what
look at when you say movies that shouldn't be good, movies that should suck, right?
let's just clarify for anybody out here who has the attention span of a gnat sometimes, like I do. What what exactly are we saying about the hype surrounding these movies specifically? Because I mean, I'm just getting lost a little bit in it.
So look at this hype here. All right, so Angry Birds was not a movie that anybody thought was going to be any good whatsoever.
Okay.
If anything, the opinion was negative going into the stuff we saw. It was like, oh, it's going to be one of those cash-ins on a years old video game that was really only a mobile sensation.
Okay.
Ghostbusters, insanely anticipated critically, as opposed to like the public was not hardcore pushing this Ghostbusters remake, but critics were saying no, this is going to be great. And I say critics, not just film critics, but cultural critics. We're really pushing for this movie. Same idea for.
So you're saying that if you have so let me just restate this just to make sure I'm following. If you're saying sometimes what can kill a film's ratings or people's public opinion of the film is the hype surrounding the film. Like sometimes hype can be adverse to that. Like the hype that was surrounded Ghostbusters, that hype probably had something to do with the way it was received, as opposed to, there was less hype surrounding The Secret Life of Pets and it turned out to do really well.
Exactly.
Okay.
And I haven't even gotten into the big problem films, because you're talking about like Suicide Squad, which still made major money. I'm not going to down that. But Suicide Squad, X-Men Apocalypse, obviously way earlier in the year, Batman versus Superman. Even Star Trek Beyond and Jason Bourne to a degree. What is it? Now You See Me Too. Like, these films are supposed to, the BFG, the Steven Spielberg movie, The Big Friendly Giant, like the Warcraft movie. These were films that were supposed to be giant.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about it. Why do you think that happened? Like, besides the reason that you're saying, like, what do you think is killing these films like that? Because when I hear this, what I hear is some people are just going to, there are only so many things. When I go to the movies, chances are I know what it is I'm already going to see. I think there are very few people who go to the movies, unless this is like a movie trip that is just really to kill time until they have to do something else. Most people know what they're going to see. And it's because I've seen previews, not necessarily because I've read reviews. I think it's probably because I've seen previews and I think I just want to see this film. I think that the reason that a lot of these animated films are killing it, and I could be wrong, it's because animated films don't necessarily die, quote unquote, because they're packed full of huge stars. Honestly, that is the only time I think having a cast full of huge stars, like so many, doesn't really hurt a film sometimes. I think not like it always, you have an A-list cast. That doesn't mean that the movie is going to that doesn't mean that the movie is going to be horrible or the movie's going to tank. I just think that you can gamble with that formula or that cast a lot better with an animated film sometimes than with a film. Because there are some films that just, what was the film? Valentine's Day, I think. Sometimes you can have too many big names in one movie, and it's like, whoa. Yeah, because I could be spacing a little bit here, but I remember kind of that was people's fear when it came to like Ocean's 11 and things like that. They're like, okay, too many names are showing up. Is this going to be a good movie? There are too many big names. I think I remember people saying stuff like that. Yeah. But again, it was a few years ago. So, so you remember it too. Okay, so there were things like that. I don't think animated movies have that issue. Nobody's saying there are too many voiceovers from famous people. I think a lot of times that's why it works, because you don't have to go into that fear.
Here's the counter to that. You have a movie like Central Intelligence, which is a part of that. As much as he may even want to decry that now, that movie was entirely built on The Rock and Kevin Hart's social media, pushes. Like it was their usual social media machines going to work to make sure people saw that movie. Now, the movie was, I thought, pretty good, but it's that idea of like, here are two stars that normally are good when they are with other people, not necessarily on their own. We don't necessarily love everything they do on their own, but they took a $50 million film and turned it into $200 million for Warner Brothers. This is not an overpacked star film. The downside of hype is, and on the film end of things, is that even if you are overstuffing, and I would say that there are certain films that definitely overstuff. Civil War, if you really look at it, is overstuffed with stars, but still made $1 billion. It's this idea of like, when we anticipate a film, unless it's in a particular lane at a particular time, like it can only go bad.
Well,
And
let me tell you what kills a film for me.
Okay.
When in terms of hype, what kills a film for me in terms of hype is when people are constantly focusing on the things that don't matter surrounding that film. Like, and what I mean is this: we were talking about Ghostbusters, the fact that they're women, that was really lame to me. So I was kind of like, "Are you serious? Are you not the fact that they're lame? Like, no, the fact that they're women is not the reason they're lame. Obviously, I'm a woman. I'm saying, like, you know, it was people focusing on that made it, you know, kind of crazy for me. So I stopped listening to hype, and I haven't seen the movie yet, but I still want to, you know, like I just haven't gotten around to it. I've been like really busy lately, and like this summer was crazy for me. I still want to. Those are the kinds of things that I can look at and I can say, okay, you know what? Someone who is very sensitive to being swayed by opinions and all of that could just be like, look, there's too much going on with this film for me. I don't want to go see it at the box office. I'm just going to wait until it comes on TV. Now, that wasn't how I felt. That's probably how I'm saying some people feel. Exactly. Like, I think that might, but what kills a film for me is, you know, sometimes that can kill one for me. It didn't do that with Ghostbusters, but sometimes that can do something for me. Like, I'm going to be real. The movie that probably I feel that way about right now is Suicide Squad. Like, a lot of people are focusing on whatever they're focusing on with that movie, like saying, oh, it was good, or oh, Rotten Tomatoes gave it this, or what Rotten Tomatoes gave it that. Like, to be real, that kind of has probably made me say, okay, well, look, I'll just wait until it comes on HBO. You know, something like that.
And that really is one of the problems, is like that film, besides the issues with it, and I will save that for my friends who do actual movie reviews. Besides that problem, because we are so instantly into critiquing things, Suicide Squad would have been fine if you didn't have Rotten Tomatoes.
Probably. Right? I mean, but that's what people focused on and stuff like that. If you're a moviegoer like myself, that's what I'm saying. Like, Ghostbusters, I really wanted to see.
Rotten Tomatoes to look at stuff anyway, yeah.
Right, but Ghostbusters is a movie I still want to see. And again, I'm saying some people who are easily swayed by the fact that people are focusing on lame aspects of the movie and talking about the wrong stuff, they might say, I don't want to go see this right now because I don't know what I'm walking into, and I don't really know why they're focusing on this part of the film because this isn't an issue to me. So I don't want to, what's the deal? Like, I don't get it, but I know I don't want to spend, in some cities, it's really expensive to see a movie. Like, you know, in New York right now, I think it's like, even if you go to a matinee, it's $13. I think, well, that's what it was last time I went to a matinee in New York. It was like $12.50. You know, something like that. Yeah. So it's pretty expensive. So if let's just say you go at like 7 o'clock, you're probably paying $15. So some people are probably like, you know what? I don't have a problem with an all-female Ghostbusters cast, which is what I would say. But too many people are focusing on the fact that they're all women. So what is it about this movie that you guys are so mad at, besides the stupid sexism parts of it? Like, that's ridiculous. Yeah. So if you're not a person who's really strong in your convictions as far as, you know, why you want to see a film, little things like that, like controversies like that, can just say, okay, you know what? People can't seem to forget this portion of whatever they're dealing with here, with whatever film it is. I just think I'll just wait because I don't know why nobody's saying anything that would make me really go see a movie, which is, oh my God, it was great. Oh my God, the action is great, blah, blah, blah. I just don't want to constantly hear about controversy. I want to hear some praise before I go pay to see it. If you've got people who are thinking like that, then yeah, hype can sometimes be bad. Like, I see what you mean when you say, you know, there's a downside to hype. I definitely do. But the problem is when you've got that, I don't see that with animated films. People focus on more of the content of what people want to hear when it comes to that. Like, nobody's focusing on the fact that Dory is a woman. You know, like, nobody's focusing on the fact that Dory is a female fish. You know, like, it's.
I'm going to say she's a female fish, but okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, God, that was funny the way I put that, but you know what I mean?
I was like, Dory is a woman, like.
No, you know, like, nobody's focusing on the fact that Dory is a female fish. So it's kind of like, okay, if you're a person who controversy sways you from seeing film sometime, which is what I'm saying. Again, I just have to keep reiterating that. Well, I just have to keep reiterating that. No, I just don't want anybody
I'm saying
thinking
Finding Dory
that I'm
benefits
saying
from
anything about. I'm
being a
not saying
sequel.
anything about women in films. First of all, I don't want anybody thinking that. So let me just say that I'm not saying anything about that. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
I love comedies. I think that women in comedy is an amazing thing. There need to be more women. I think Ghostbusters being an all-female cast, I was very excited by it. That's not what I'm saying. So don't take that and run with the people. I'm saying that some people who don't like controversy, okay, are very, and Matt can tell you, I have ADD, ADHD. Sometimes I talk in circular motions. I don't know if anybody's supposed to like figured that out yet. Sometimes I talk around an issue before I get to my point. But if you're a person who, if you don't like controversy, you are not going to be apt to just go see a movie with a lot of controversy surrounding it, regardless of why there is controversy. And with Ghostbusters, that was one of the things that people were talking about. So if you're like, okay, I don't like controversy when it surrounds films, it sways me because I find it very iffy when people can only focus on the controversy of a film and they can't say anything like about, oh, but the acting was really good. If you're not hearing any positive feedback and it's only controversy, you sometimes are going to sway away from it. You could be a woman, you could be a man, whatever. That sometimes just that controversy existing is not, it sways you from paying $15 to go see the film. You know, like, and there are people that are like that. That's what I'm saying here. I'm saying that issue doesn't exist.
I'm not attacking that. I want to get away from Finding Dory because Finding Dory has the benefit of being a sequel to a beloved Pixar film. Like Dory as a character was established long before we even got to the idea of this movie existing. So I didn't want to get information on that and use something that does have both controversy and I know you hate the person who made the film, so that's why I'm bringing it up. I shouldn't say hate. Hate's a strong word. You have a strong dislike for this person's particular sense of comedy. And that's, of course, Seth Rogen's Sausage Party.
Okay, let me explain, people.
So, before you explain.
I'm not going to explain that. Okay.
Yeah. So, before you explain, one of the things about this particular film and why I kind of point to it as a very clear case of hype and controversy doing its positive thing, and that's how we're going to get out of here. They got out of this part of the segment. They built this idea on you are going to experience a raunchy rated R animated comedy, and they are doing it oddly enough primarily to give a middle finger to who we just talked about, Pixar, who is a bit manipulative when it comes to animation. They constantly go for, giving, anthropomorphizing either, animals or, of course, inanimate objects to give them the traits of human beings and use it to do a sort of commentary on whatever is at issue, with living life as a human being. And Sausage Party is a major send-up of those actions by Pixar. And that's one of the things that kind of really made this movie have the high profile that it had. This is not a $100 million production budget. It was made for less than $20 million. And yes, there's controversy surrounding that. There's apparently a lot of animators who didn't get paid, were forced to do overtime. So the real money is probably make this like a $50 million film. But at $50 million, and only its second week, it's only been out 8 days at this point. Literally, it's in its second week right now. It's already at $55 billion domestically. This movie, put out by Sony Columbia, really did kind of change how we're looking at hype for films. Sometimes hype is a great tool, and the hype really made Sausage Party something worth people's time, and people are clearly spending money on it. It is rated R, so it's going to have that problem, but it seems like it's going to do okay. Now, as much as I make fun of Brittany's dislike of some of the Seth Rogen comedies, I will say this is probably one she would actually like. Having seen it myself, there is, the hype also turns into, and that's how we're going to transition here. It also turns into almost requirement on certain people that doesn't affect others. We expect, negatively or positively, certain artists, and we'll just call them all artists because we're talking from every angle here, to be certain ways. In sports, you expect you know, the Patriots to put Tom Brady out there and have him, run that team as quarterback. You expect good performances out of some of your favorite musical artists. You expect MTV to not have music on anymore. You expect certain things out of certain places. And anticipation comes directly from that notion of expectation. What you expect certain experiences to be, no matter whether they are your first time experiencing them or if you've done them many times before. Your exposure to those things tends to make you
Okay.
one way or another. Go for it.
I really want to jump in. Okay, here's the reason. I don't want to explain myself. I just have to be straight up honest and say there have been a lot of. I agree with you, but you're going back to what I'm saying is about like the fact that animated films rarely suffer from the negative side effects, or I don't have to say negative side effects. I guess it's just side effects. Side effects of the bad side effects. I'll say that of hype, because you don't have to deal with all of that stuff. Like, let me just be real with you. With Sausage Party, I probably would enjoy that movie because Sausage Party, it's not a bro comedy. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. I probably would enjoy that. The reason there is nothing with me with Seth Rogen in particular, I should say. I just don't really. Bro comedies are not my thing, man. Like, I don't want to be in. I don't like bro comedies. Like, I feel like that's why I think like the bull. Here is my opinion when it comes to like a gender specific issue. I feel like the bull that is faced by women in comedy, like Ghostbusters being an all female film. Men having an all-male bro comedy, nobody ever talks about the gender and how tired the gender dynamics of that mess are. People always want to talk about the women. There could be an all-female movie that is very, very funny, and people are going to focus on the fact that they're all women, which is very stupid to me. It's very stupid. Like Bridesmaids, for instance. Bridesmaids was a hilarious film. There are still people that are not going to talk about how funny it was. They're just going to talk about the fact that it was an all-female cast. But you can look at a bro movie, it's not funny, and nobody's going to talk about the fact that maybe it's not so funny because they're stuck on this tired bro comedy dynamic. Maybe they need to switch it up. Nobody's going to talk about that, though. Like, that's one of the things that bothers me. And, there were some things that bothered me about the movie This Is the End. I mean, Matt, did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, This Is the End bothered me because there's one part in the movie where if I'm misremembering the scene, you're a lot better at some of those things with these particular scenes than I am. So let's just be real. If I'm misremembering it, correct me. But there's a part in there where there's a woman that's trying to get in the house or that's in the house or something. Yeah. And they're talking about like how it's a bad idea that she's in there. And they're making all these insinuations that like crazy sexual things might happen because they're all men and she's a woman. If you know what I'm saying. Like, do you remember that?
Yeah, that happened.
Like, like what? That's the kind of stuff that throws me. I'm like, is this funny? Because honestly, I don't think implications revolving around rape culture or, men like that or men being outnumbering women and all the sexual things that may happen, if you will. I don't think that's funny. And nobody's talking about the fact that when there are no other women. Like, why did you create such a bro movie to where this is even a joke? Like, why is this cool? Like that's where it boils down for me. So there are little things like that bother me. And then the other film I told you about with Anna Faris and she's on the Klonopin, but there's still a sex scene and people are laughing about it. Like, that's not cool to me. Like, that kind of stuff, regardless of where Seth Rogen lies on like his opinions of these things, of his opinions of like rape culture, or his opinions or wherever, regardless of how he feels about that, I don't know how he feels about it, but I'm just going off of how these things come across in the film. They come across in a very politically incorrect manner, to say the least. I hesitate to say that because there's nothing politically correct about rape culture. There's nothing politically correct about having sex with a woman and, her ability to consent is kind of like infringed upon. There is nothing, there is nothing about that that's really funny to me. But I think I can enjoy Sausage Party because unless the sausages are really ridiculous, maybe maybe those things won't be in the film. Those things will be removed because you've got the gender things that, of course, they could probably find ways to play on it and stuff. I mean, the movie's called Sausage Party. Like, I can think of all the crazy, references that could be made about.
I can't tell you because it will ruin the movie. But
okay, but I
will say you would be surprised by what the film goes through.
Well, I mean, you can say that.
Real quick, folks, do not take your kids to this movie. I recently resaw Sausage Party when I'm back in Kansas City from Texas. And
no, if you take your kids to see a movie called
under 14-year-old child to this movie, and
do not put that out there. Because if you take your kid to see a film called Sausage Party, you deserve whatever happens.
Hold on.
Why would you do that?
The reason why parents have been taking their kids to see this movie is because they're terrible parents, but also because it's an animated film, and if you're not a good parent paying attention, you're thinking, oh, well, it's just a funny movie about food. It looks like a Pixar movie.
No.
And I'm telling you, don't take your kids to this movie. Now, going back to what I transitioned us into, now that she's had her time to rant about the Seth Rogen comedies.
Yeah, but who are these people taking their kids to see that? If you do that, you are like crazy.
It clearly happened. They've already talked about it a couple times. But what I wanted to get to was this notion of our expectations based on the past activity of someone. So when I go to see a concert from, and we'll use one that makes me angry for this. When I go see a Chrisette Michele concert, I no longer have anticipation of a great live performance, because the one time I didn't go see her here in Kansas City, my god sister Melina did. Shout out to Anthony who's commenting right now. Yes, we'll talk about No Man's Sky in a second. But when I go see her live, I'm gonna expect her to just have like a DJ playing her CD behind her and her singing over it, because that's what happened when Melina went to go see her. And I was just like, what? Like, the one time I haven't seen this woman live, she just straight up does a horrible set like that. Like, I expect a live performance when there's something going on. When I go to see, The Weeknd, I'm expecting an amazing performance. I'm not expecting a lot of dancing. I'm expecting a lot of straight up singing. I'm expecting some good crowd interaction. I'm expecting at least 20 people around me to be on Molly. But I'm expecting certain things. That's an anticipation. So, and we're going to kind of briefly talk about it here. So, when we get to something like games and TV shows, when you see a trailer, when you see a critical review, when you see the people involved in a project, you get a certain mentality about that project. You can look no further than the situation regarding Star Citizen and No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky is a game that I purchased, I own. I'm very happy with it. I really looked at what the game really was and not what people were saying about it and the vague comments from the developers. And I enjoyed the game. But a lot of people came to it from a different mindset. And because of that, they had a different level of anticipation. Star Citizen seems to be more what they wanted, and yet Star Citizen still hasn't come out yet, so we still have no idea on it. And that's all I'm going to reference those two games on, because Weekend Life guys, that's more their speed. On films, though, I want to talk really briefly about The Get Down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, The Get Down versus Luke Cage. The people involved with The Get Down were what made me think, all right, this is still going to be good. When I looked at the way they were shooting, when I looked at the trailer for it, when I was hearing about, the story focus, and obviously I'm not trying to give away any points of the show. When I was looking at that stuff, I was like, all right, I got to watch The Get Down. This is going to be great. And I realized I was getting hype based on very little information. So I went and dug deeper. Who's an artist? What's a show or a series What's a film that you kind of immediately gave a pass to because of who was involved?
Let me see. Probably. I probably do that with a couple of Angelina Jolie films. Like, if I don't like the storyline necessarily, I probably will be like, okay, but it was dope because, it had an action filled, storyline and blah, blah, blah. So let me see. I think the last time I can remember people disagreeing with me about a film was maybe Salt. A lot of people expected that to be more than what it was for some reason. I can't remember exactly what the critique was, but I think reviews were like, oh yeah, it's a good film, but there are some parts of it that just seem, like the action is missing here. There are some things that aren't accounted for here. People just do what they criticize, what they're going to criticize. But I mean, I thought it was a good film. So arguably, maybe you could say I gave that a pass because I'm a huge Angelina Jolie fan. I'll say that. It depends on how you look at it. Like, I think she's great. I think she's talented. So it's possible I could have given something a pass based on that. But probably that, I don't know.
So when Angelina Jolie's on a project, that's the one that you're like, yo, I'm still gonna fuck with this just to check it because it's Angelina Jolie. All right.
Yeah, because she's really talented, and a lot of her movies are really great. I mean, you don't get to the point where she is in life, and you have a horrible ability to to do your job well. That just doesn't happen. I mean, she was Laura Croft. When you think about that movie, when you saw her in the outfit, you were like, oh my gosh, she brought it to life. Like, I remember having that moment. I was like, oh my God, look at it. She's been among us the whole time. Oh my God, did we blow your cover? I remember having moments like that. That was just like, wow, this was she brought this home for me. But there are some films too that I think maybe I do give a pass to because it's like it's gonna give me what I expect. Like, I remember watching, what was it? I remember watching Baby Mama with Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. And
Yeah.
I wasn't watching. Well, I mean, I wasn't watching the movie based on like what for a critical point of view. I was watching it because I'm like, okay, I like both of you. You both are funny. Let me see this movie.
And
the same thing happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the same thing happened with Sisters. Like, I watched that, so I wasn't looking for whatever people were looking for. Like, I wasn't looking for, if you're looking for seriously, developed portion of a film, that I wasn't looking for. I was looking for laughs. That's what I should say. It gave me laughs, so I was satisfied. If you were looking for something else, I don't know if you were satisfied or not, but I know I was. So I guess that's kind of subjective is what I'm trying to say when it comes to, what you give a pass to and what you don't give a pass to. I mean, if something sets me up, when I come into something and I'm not invested entirely and it just fails, then I can be very, very critical because I'm like, I'm not invested at all. This didn't even give me the one thing I came for, which is, just entertainment. I gave you very, very little here. And you still didn't meet my needs with this. I guess that's how I feel about it. But I don't know why. What's one film you think you did that to? Like, what's the
film that I think I gave a pass to that looking back wasn't all that good? I mean, I went back and rewatched No Good Deed.
Okay. Oh, I like that though.
It's go back and rewatch it. It really isn't that good. Now, it's not bad, but it's not that good. But I let that slide because I like Taraji as an actress. And obviously, Idris Elba is my dude out here when it comes to really black male roles. Like, I tend to like his general choices, and kind of looking back at it, it really is just a slightly more believable version of a Tyler Perry movie.
I mean, I would disagree.
When I watched it, and I took my mom to see, like, folks that know us from Worse Than Do It Justice, I took my mom to see this movie. we had a good time. It was a good afternoon, mom and son afternoon kind of thing. We see there's a lot of films that like she and I would go see together kind of situation. But I thought I liked it when I first watched it. I think I even gave a review for this, on the website. I thought I really liked the film, but I actually didn't.
Let me be real with you. You brought it, honestly, that movie. I think it was a good movie because it had two strong leads. But I think that it was probably maybe what you're saying is that the plot didn't move you, maybe, but the performances were good. Is that what you're thinking?
And even not even that going that far. If you look at the performances, and we're gonna get way too deep in this movie. If you look at the performances, totally believable character ideas. The lawyer who happens to also at the end, remember she does, a job that should help someone like Idris Elba's character. The the sort of he's going to try and find this person and do all this stuff, and his car wrecks, and you start finding all these contrivances at the end. You start getting stuff that you'll realize like, oh wow, this was a twist. Like, no, it really wasn't a twist. You just didn't tell me that this is what he was doing, and it was on purpose. You told me he was actually going after this man's wife, but you didn't tell me. And sorry for the spoilers, folks, but you didn't tell me he did this whole car wreck scenario because of it. Like, it's kind of stupid when you go back and watch it and really look at both the way they end up in the same place, and a lot of the things that the two of them do. It's not good. It's really stupid. And yes, I'm a very big critiquer of what certain directors do to the screenplay when they get it from the screenplay writer. But in this movie, a lot of it is that this is entirely stupid. Like, it just over and over again.
But let me be honest with you. I'm going to say this. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was good,
And at the time, I did too.
Well, yeah, but it's for the same reason. Like, it's for the same reason the movies I named. Like, I think that sometimes people, they're less likely or less inclined to give a pass to certain things if they're going into them expecting a critique. It's all what you bring to a film sometimes. I'm an Angelina Jolie fan, so I'll be honest, I'm not the best person to critique her films because I'm a fan of her work. Same thing with Baby Mama and with Sisters. I was amused. I'm not the person to go to for a critique.
Anybody let a Blue Ivy rape joke through on a show, I'm not fucking with it. Sorry. That's never going to change.
But that's the thing. She didn't make it. Look, that's the thing. She didn't make the joke. She didn't write that episode.
Yeah, but she could have easily said, you know what, we're not doing this. Because she's the one who says she's intimately involved in every episode and the direction of every episode. And she, gets told everything that's going to go on if it's controversial so that she can properly defend people. Like, I'm sorry.
I didn't know she had anything to do with that. When I look back, I thought she was probably an executive producer on a couple of, for anyone who doesn't know, the show is called Difficult People, and it's a show on Hulu. That's what we're talking about. I didn't know that she was involved on that episode in any way, shape, or form. I thought that she was probably... okay, I thought she was just being looped in with this. Even after I researched it, I thought she was just being looped in with this because, she's associated and she's the big name that people knows. No, that's what I thought, that someone who's coming to the show, they know. But I mean, I didn't know that. I didn't know she had anything to do with the show. I don't think she has anything to do with that episode that you're talking about. I thought that the main character, the female main character, Julie Klausner, I thought she wrote that episode.
Yeah, but if you think that the executive producer, who is the reason that show got picked up by Hulu, isn't getting a chance to find out that they're doing jokes, like doing that joke, shit.
But wait, here's my thing. I want to know, is she the executive producer on that episode? Like, is she the executive producer for this episode, or?
She's the executive producer for all of the episodes. She gets all of that stuff before it goes out, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know this, but still, I'm going to say that sometimes I didn't know that. I was looking at the writing for the show and all of that, but I'm just saying, like, I I thought that those movies were funny. Like, I thought that Sisters was funny. I thought that Baby Mama was funny. So I'm going into it with the fact that I like these two women that are doing these movies. So I like them. I'm going to be cool with probably what happens unless it doesn't make me laugh. You know, that's the same thing you're going to with some films. What you bring to it is what matters. So that goes to my point of, like, women are going to forgive a lot of that movie no matter what, because I watched the movie and I was like, well, just how crazy is Idris Elba? Is this a crazy that we can work with? Because if he's that crazy, I still think we can work through some things. You know, like, I still think it's able. Stop laughing. Because I was like, well, like, if he's crazy, what's the truth? I'm like, okay, just how much is he trying to kill you?
Do you all see this? Excuse me, I said see. Do you all hear this apology tour right now that she is having?
Well, okay, look.
For the absolutely craziest we have seen Idris Elba in a film, save when he's Stringer Bell and was actually killing people.
Okay, look, let me defend myself here. Matt is clearly taking a different stance on what I'm not as well versed in this matter as you are with the difficult people situation. So I can't talk about that anymore. All I can say is what I'm saying, but I'm versed on Idris Elba, damn it. Idris Elba is very attractive. If there's a man like Idris Elba that is probably stalking you or whatever, you're going to have a problem with it, of course, but it's not a real life situation. So I can sit back and say, how am I going to judge him? Because just how crazy is he for a moment? You know, like, and there are some women who probably would feel like, hey, I would love for Idris Elba to stalk me. You know, like, they would like that problem.
Michelle,
I don't want to stalk her, period. But I'm just saying,
that woman is going to try and murder both of us if I keep making jokes about her. We're going to stop doing that.
Yeah, I'm not even going there with you. You know what? Sometimes I just let Matt just go into these situations by himself, because we may have differing opinions, but Matt, I am not going to be your foolery. It's not going to infringe upon my life. So carry on with whatever it is you feel like you need to do. You take that step.
Michelle, Brittany is a big fan. I make these jokes because she's a big fan. I like some of your music too. Like, just in case somebody gets this shit back to you.
Yo, I think that K. Michelle is hilarious. First of all, like, honestly, the stuff that she says, people give her a bad rap. Okay, like, she says what she means and she means what she says. A lot of times, people just aren't gonna like that kind of person when you say these things anyway, because a lot of people don't say what they mean and they don't do what they say. So she gets a bad rap for that. But also, just because she can back it up, she's also talented. You know, if she were out here and she had no talent, I think people would say, but nobody can say she's not talented. So yeah, I like her. And I like that she says these things, and sometimes I can agree and see her point. But as far as the movie thing goes, with like Idris Elba and all of this, man, seriously, you really won't find a whole lot of women, regardless, that are going to be displeased with his films, just because a lot of women are just going to see the movie because he's in it. I'm being real. Like, he has that. You have enough, and that's not me trivializing women and how we criticize films or anything like that. For anybody listening to me from a purely academic standpoint, take a step back. I'm saying something that is very probably superficial, but something that is also probably true. Women fall under a spell when it comes to Idris Elba. Idris Elba knows. It was funny because when he was on The Office, they made a joke about it. He was playing Charles, he was playing a manager from another branch, and I can't remember his last name. It's crazy because I'm a huge Office fan and I can't remember his last name. But on the show, he says, "Yes, I'm well aware of the fact that I have this effect on women." It is true. You do have an effect. He has an effect on women. Idris Elba, you have a crazy effect on women, myself included. If I met you, I'm not even a giggling type of woman. People that are listening to this podcast probably have picked up on the fact that I'm not a giggling type of woman. Idris Elba, you come up to me, I'm giggling at everything you say. You're the funniest man alive. I'm gazing at you. I'm planning our house. I'm planning our children. It's crazy. It's crazy.
She already has names for the kids. She already has names for the kids, bro.
Now, I wouldn't go that far. Why are you trying to ruin my life? I wouldn't go that far. I mean, what if he hears this and he's like, I want to know more about her? You just put it out there that I have names for these kids, and I clearly don't.
I would hope that Idris Elba, of all people, would know I was joking, but okay.
I hope so too, but I'm just being honest. I think that you're trying to, Matt, relax. See, Matt has it out for me. Matt has it out for me. I'm just going to be honest. Matt comes to these things comes to my jokes with the preconceived idea that whatever I say it's going to be necessary for him to just kill it. Okay. So some people come to things with whatever. Come to this with an open mind and an open heart, Matt. That's my new thing. Come with an open mind and an open heart and listen to me and just laugh. Okay. But no, back to what we're talking about with the movies. I'm going to watch this movie. I'm going to take your advice on this, and I'm going to accept your dare. I'm going to watch this film, but I think I'm still going to enjoy it because I'm a huge Taraji fan. I'm a huge Idris fan, and that's someone who I think is amazing. She is one of the best actresses of our time. Taraji P. Henson is so talented. It is ridiculous. Like, I'm amazed by her.
And I'm
Are
saying
you
this is going to sound
not amazed by her?
type of way. Hold on. I certainly think that Taraji has one of the largest ranges amongst this current sort of crop of actresses. I am honestly tired of her getting forced into one of two roles, and I wish they would let her kind of just be a character sometimes. She is either, I'm just going to use Cookie because that's the most obvious, but really it goes all the way back to Baby Boy. But she's either in that lane or she's in the ultra smart lane. The one thing that made me like No Good Deed at first was that she was really just kind of a normal person in that movie. And it's, how to put it? Like, the you know what? Forget it. I won't even get into that part. One of the things that I really enjoy about her acting is that when they want her to be hyper intelligent in a film like the upcoming Hidden Figures movie, she can do that amazingly well without any issue whatsoever. And it's sort of the same thing when you need her to be, an outlandish character like Cookie on Empire, or, like I said, way back to where that really comes from, which is her role as Yvette on Baby Boy. I've enjoyed that, but I really wish that they could give her, like, what's a good reference point? Okay, Scarlett Johansson. She, at the same time she does, her Black Widow stuff for Marvel and does fucking stupid movies like Lucy, they also cast her in stuff like Her.
Yeah,
Remember
but
Her?
do you not see that this
what I'm
is
saying
what
is, like, I'm not saying that Taraji needed to be the voice in Her. What I'm saying is, like, I wish for Taraji's sake, because I've seen, like, when she gets a chance to really do other stuff and really kind of embrace these other kinds of characters that she's used to, like, she shines. I wish that Hollywood would give her more of those opportunities. I wish I could write those kind of stories for her, but that's my thing.
Yeah, but that's not, she has no control over that. I get what you're saying. I know you know this, but I'm just saying, like, I'm sure she would probably have the same qualm that you have. I think that a lot of Black actresses, they feel that way. They feel like, they're typecasted in some kind of way. Like, if you're either this role or stereotype, or, you're something that you don't really want to be, something that doesn't feel natural, you don't feel connected to. So it's like, it's like you're between a rock and a hard place, so to speak. So I think that she would have the same critique that you have, but I don't think that should speak for her body of work, because we know that's probably the critique you have. Regardless, she kills it, and she has been given opportunities to not be these things. The thing is, though, people don't really know a whole lot about that, because those aren't the movies that are like marketed a lot. People want to see, unfortunately, sometimes Black people in stereotypical roles, and that's very unfortunate. Like, she was in a movie about the first Black woman to coach a golf team. I can't remember the name of it, but she was in that movie, and that movie didn't, receive a lot of hype. We were talking about hype before. It didn't receive a lot of hype. And that wasn't. It was a movie. She was a golf coach. I can't remember the name of it, but she was a golf coach, and she was it was the first black female golf coach, I think, to win, that coached a team for a championship or something like that. I didn't get to see the movie, honestly, because I just didn't. I didn't think it was. I don't think it was showing near me at the time. I think when it came out, I was still in Florida, and I think it was a very like theater specific kind of movie. But I don't remember ever being like anywhere in Orlando, period. But yeah, that's what she was on. Wendy Williams talking about it, and she was like, "Please go see this film." So she's aware of the fact that sometimes Hollywood does not give black women the opportunity to have these range. So I don't think you can really compare her and Scarlett Johansson. Scarlett Johansson.
No, I was using Scarlett Johansson as an example of they let her do other roles outside of what she normally quote unquote does. That's all.
Well, that's because yeah. Well, and we know why that is, you know, like, but
Well, yeah.
Taraji's not afforded that, unfortunately, because of, you know, the way things
and even
are.
when I say like I want her to be able to branch out and do different stuff, do you remember her in Smoking Aces?
I don't remember Smoking Aces. Let me see.
Smoking Aces.
I had to have seen this movie.
Oh yeah, no, it's the one where they've got Jeremy Piven in like a hotel, and all these assassins are trying to kill him. But like the FBI is protecting him. I forgot.
I saw this, but it was a long time ago. I definitely saw this movie, but it was a long time ago.
But yeah,
I love Taraji to death.
She's got a crush on Alicia Keys' character, and they're both contract killers, and they're like partners. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely remember this movie.
Yeah.
But
like,
see,
it was so much. I had so much fun with her character because it was just like she never does this. This is great. Like I'm loving this right now. At that point.
Yeah,
and I liked her in the Karate Kid. As much as people don't like the Karate Kid remake, like I liked her in the Karate Kid movie because she was just like she was just a mom, just trying to make it. Like she was just a mom. It was like, oh, things are going bad. Like she's not a broken mom. There are no major issues. She's just like trying to get her son to act right and not get in trouble, and be a mom. Like I liked her being able to do that stuff as well as the other things. Like don't get me wrong, she's in a lot of Tyler Perry-ish films, including some actual Tyler Perry films. But I liked all of that. For is From the Rough, the golf coach movie.
Okay, yeah. That sounds about right.
She was a former swim coach and became the first woman to ever coach a men's golf team. Yeah,
I love Taraji a lot, so I'm connected to always. I'm always gonna. That's probably another actress that I'm gonna go see all of her movies, and I'm gonna bring to the fact that I'm gonna love it just because she's in it. And like I loved Empire for that reason. I haven't watched it in a minute because like it's one of those shows I figured out that if you miss one episode, you're severely lost. So it's like I'm like 6 or 7 episodes behind or something like that, and I need to go back and watch before the 3rd season starts. But yeah, I definitely think that she comes to every role and she brings her best, and I respect that a lot. I think that she's great for that.
Yeah, so that's the thing there. So now, getting out of Taraji and expectations, I want to, of course, end us off with something a little interesting.
When you say interesting, I hope it's really interesting. I hope it's not sadistic and ridiculous. But continue. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, Lord. Well, it's a bit of both.
Oh God.
I'm piling on at this point, and it's because we can't launch Give No Quarter, folks. There's been a major setback with Give No Quarter. We're going to try and get it reworked so we can actually launch that show. We're going to talk about this real quick. Anticipation. Funny to me because it leads us to very interesting discussions. That, of course, brings us to someone who looks like he's tanking his campaign, Donald Trump.
This is where I leave you. Like the Jonathan Tropper novel. This is where I leave you. I just cannot. I cannot with this man. I'm serious. Like, why did you not tell me? I know why you didn't tell me we were talking about Donald Trump, because I would have told you, Matt, I'm not doing it. I would have got super diva on you and told you I'm not doing it because I'm so tired of this man.
We are not having a discussion of Trump, but what we're having a discussion of is the tactics of stupid politicians. Now, normally I would totally go into a tirade about Debbie Wasserman Schultz right now, but instead, I want to talk about what anticipating what's going to happen to you does to your mentality. Now, a lot of people have said that Donald Trump is tanking his campaign, that he is actively sabotaging himself, that he constantly is doing these shakeups and things of that nature because he can tell he's going to lose, and so he's trying to give himself inbuilt excuses. But I want to offer and proffer an alternative idea. What if this stupid, ridiculous level of problem that we have with Donald Trump is really more because he's afraid of doing the job? There's one thing in this country that you absolutely can't run from, and when you're president, you can't run at all. Senators can run; they have scandals all the time. Congressmen, judges, lawyers, every job in this country, you can kind of hide a bit. You can't hide as president. There is no hiding. And in anticipation of the position he was in, because if you remember, even during the Democratic National Convention, people were still talking, including myself, saying, Donald Trump could still potentially win this thing. And it's probably more likely than we think. That was when he began going overboard with the craziness. And at first you could say, well, maybe he's really that much of a bigot. Well, if he was really that much of a bigot, it must be a recent development, because I'll remind folks that late as 2006, he was still donating to Democratic campaigns nationally and locally. So this looks more like, oh shit, they're actually going to make me president. I can't do this shit. I can't do this shit. And he's just tanking for fun.
I don't buy that. Here's what I think. I think he never wanted to be president. This is why I'm irritated to death with this man, okay? I think he never wanted to be president. I think everything that he's doing is strictly because he loves attention, okay? And I think that what he is doing is so dangerous, and people are skirting around the issue because they're focusing on this presidency and if he has a chance at it and what would happen if America, lived under a Trump presidency. Now, for me, as like a comedian, that would be ideal for me to sit here and just tell you all the funny jokes I can make about a Trump presidency and all the situations that might arise under one. Yeah, it's funny. I wouldn't want that to happen though. But seriously, this man is ridiculous and he's dangerous, not because of the presidency, not because anything associated with it, but because of what he's done to people. He has energized a certain cretin, disgusting portion of society, okay, that has this idea that minorities are horrible, women need to sit down and shut up and be pretty, and if you have a problem with him, you have a problem with America being great. He has he's playing into such a disgusting subsect of society that we should all be afraid, because whether or not he wins or loses, the pot has been stirred, people, okay? The ideas are out here, and the fact of him losing, what's so dangerous is if he loses, all of his supporters, the ones who think that he would make America great again, okay, all of them are going to feel like they need to react, okay? There will be probably severe backlash from them if he loses, and this is what this man has been doing. I think all of this has gotten out of hand. I think he wants attention. He probably thought that, this might help his ratings with Apprentice or whatever. I don't know what this man was thinking. But the problem is, I think even he recognizes that now it's gotten out of hand and he can't control the monster that he's created. That's what's happening here. And he's trying to backtrack, but he's dangerous because he cannot stop what he started. You can't unring a bell. The people that he has energized, the people that have gotten behind his cause, believe. You think there's going to be just violence at his rallies? No, there will be violence probably everywhere if he loses, because people think that if you stand in the way, his supporters, if you stand in the way of him, you clearly are an affront to this nation and what it stands for. There's something very, very scary about that. I mean, there's something crazy about it. It almost sends ice through my veins. The fact that this man is still given this platform, and people do not realize, no one realizes, I mean, we're doing it right now. People do not realize that you give life to this man by talking to him and you know, and like talking about him and making it seem as if something he says deserves a platform. This is very scary stuff. And I really feel like no matter who you vote for come November, okay, this is going to be one of those things, all right, that we have no control over, because he has done so much to get the crazies in line behind him. Can we really say that we're doing a whole lot, like Hillary's campaign ads? Oh, look at what our kids are seeing. Look at what our kids are watching. What kind of president will they see? That's true. What kind of president will they see? All right. That's true. But it doesn't matter, because the people, just like those same kids, have seen this stuff that Donald Trump is saying. The same idiots have seen it too. And they're going to look at it. They feel like the nation has been taken from them. You know, for whatever reason, they feel like that. They feel like the nation, well, I know why. It's because of bigotry. But they feel like the nation has been taken from them. They feel like, you know, they say the most horrible things when they support him too, usually. Like, I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about your kids. I'm worried about this. And it's just like, really? You're worried about your children, but you support a man that at his rallies, young black girls are getting pushed and shoved by old adult white men. Like, are you serious? You're worried about your kids. You're not worried about them seeing that? Like, and secondly, are your kids being hurt at anything? Like, really? So it's crazy, the bigotry that surrounds his supporters. And I just feel like it's dangerous. I really can't stand it at this point, because I know from just looking at the things that people are saying and just the way he thinks and the way his supporters think. His supporters think like this is a fight for America. And I don't think that they care about a presidential election either. I don't think they care about this. I feel like every time I'm watching things, I'm seeing things I've never seen before, and I can only connect it to him. The other day, I was reading an article, and I saw that the KKK in the Hamptons, okay, yes, the Hamptons, New York people, the KKK there, and I didn't even know they had KKK there. You know what I mean? Like, they're like coming out for whatever reason. Why would they be coming out now, Matt? Why? He's speaking to somebody, man. He's speaking to somebody. He's speaking to them indirectly, directly, whatever the case may be. This is dangerous. This is a horrible time for America, regardless of who wins this election. It's a very dangerous and ridiculous time for this country, no matter what.
Exactly. So, on that, we're going to make our way out of here, folks. You know, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. I want, of course, direct you to our usual places you can find all of our updates coming through my Twitter. That's at MaxusX, at MAXUSX, or at WDDIJ on Twitter. You can, of course, find us over at weekendlife.com. That's WKNDLIFE.com. And, of course, you can find all of our content from our wonderful streamers, our music reviews, our movie reviews, our TV show reviews, all of that good stuff. And in addition, you know, I want you to check us out here on YouTube. We love doing this live stream for you guys every Saturday. And, of course, don't forget to drop by TeePublic. Pick up a shirt. Pick up a hoodie. And hoodies are comfortable. I have one now. Pick up a phone case, a laptop case, a notebook. All that stuff's available. It's currently on sale through the end of August. Don't know when we're going to do another sale, so get it now. Get them while they're hot. That's just tpublic.com/314publishing. Can't miss us over there. And, of course, look out for us here. I will say we're gonna build some anticipation. There is a wonderful gentleman who is working on a logo for the Wrath of Ruthless. I was very happy to get this offer from him. I told him that, you know, this is a big thank you. I cannot, believe that he wanted to do this for us. So I'm going to leave you on some anticipation for the official logo for the Wrath of Ruthless coming soon. And of course, we have the the retooled Words Don't Do It Justice, coming up most likely at the end of this month, as well as a much bigger and much more interesting set of changes that'll take a while, and that's, of course, with Give No Quarter. So the anticipation for next week, the return of the Political Roundup, since I don't have another outlet to do that on. So we will see you soon. We will talk to you soon. And on behalf of 314 Publishing, Imperial Dreams Productions, Weekends Don't Do It Justice, Words Don't Do It Justice, Give No Quarter, The Wrath of Ruthless, for Princess Devi, Ronan, The Midnight Chat Attack, all of our friends over at Double Toasted, everybody at Geek Street Radio, for Brittany, for Vandavius, and of course Amund, for Ronan, who returned last week. Hope you guys checked that episode out. For the Silent Killer, our new member of the wonderful crew, Gerard Johnson. For Will Randolph, because I know you're out there watching on Roku. Of course, for Justin Brown, for Ronnie P, Aunt Wilson, for Ganja, for, I'm sure, Julian Himmeldinger somewhere out there listening, Mr. Monkey with a Gun himself. For all of us, to all of you, thank you for watching. This has been The Wrath of Ruthless, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.